When you think about why and the importance of why, is there ever a wrong why? You know, a lot of people demonize people for, I just want to make as much money as possible.
Yeah.
That, especially in our industry and in technology, that seems to be the wrong thing. We should have impact with our technology. We should save the planet, save whatever it is. Is there ever a wrong why?
So you're confusing a couple things there. You're confusing. So a why is not a goal. A why is not an outcome. Making money is an output. Like money is a result. Profit comes at the end of the equation, not at the beginning of it, right? A why is an input. It's a motivation and a drive. And so the question I would ask is, why do you want to make money? Do you want to just roll around on your bed like Scrooge McDuck and throw money in the air? Is that what you want to do? Every night you want to sit and count the pennies in the bank account? Is that what you want to get your hits from? You know, there's a reason why. And the reason why people who are driven solely to make money are sometimes vilified is because it is largely a selfish pursuit. And it's usually some sort of score or some sort of validation or some sort of selfish desire to live a certain lifestyle. And I also equally don't believe in, you know, we're doing this to have an impact and change the world. That doesn't mean anything either. You know, my why is to inspire people to do the things that inspire them. That's why I get out of bed in the morning. And I have a vision of the world that does not yet exist. I imagine a world in which the vast majority of people wake up every single morning inspired, feel safe wherever they are, and end the day fulfilled by the work that they do. And I will do anything and everything I can to help build that world, right? So I believe leaders, for example, are one of the best ways we can build that world. That's why I've chosen to celebrate, support, and find the leaders that I believe are more likely to build the world that I want to live in. I think we've overemphasized. I said this before. I think we've overemphasized rugged individualism, but the problem is we are social animals and we live in community. We have neighbors and we have teams and we have families and we have friends and we live in community. And to be driven by selfish pursuit can be in its extreme destructive to society, destructive to community, because it leaves other people feeling alienated or left out or stepped on or ignored. And so there's no problem with making money. But money as a pursuit, as a motivation, it'll run out. Because what'll start to happen is your identity will become wrapped up in that score. So if you lose a lot of money, does that mean you have no value? If somebody else makes more money than you, does this mean that you're less valuable than they are?
Yeah. So I had a tax bill not long ago, and it was horrifying. And I felt a lot less of a person. Yeah. I always identified as bluntly the rich one in my family or the rich one in my friend group.
Yeah.
And suddenly I was halved in net worth. And I felt significantly less valuable.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've never attached my identity to my bank account. You know, if you look at any blurb that I've given on the back of a book, for example, my identity is not even connected to the work that I do. It says optimist, an author, is what it says. So if I stop writing books and I no longer write books, I'm still an optimist.
This was my question, which is like you said before, I define myself by who I am and not what I do.
Yeah.
Bluntly, I do the opposite because I've only ever known who I am by what I do as an adult. I started at 17.
Yeah.
This is me. I've never traveled.
Sure.
Is that wrong of me?
I mean, wrong. I mean, right or wrong. I there's no judgment as to what's right or wrong, but you're more likely to find a lifetime of self-love and security and confidence and strength of identity when you're able to define your value based on what you give to people, not what you take. That's just sort of how the human animal works. It's Mother Nature's attempt to get us to look after each other and take care of ourselves and take care of each other. So is it wrong? I mean, no, you can live your life however you want. I have no judgment how you live your life. You do you. And I choose to live my life the way I choose to live it. But all things come at a cost, right? There's nothing for free in this world, nothing. There's a cost for the money you make. And if that cost is worth it to you, then batter up. You know, if that cost at some point becomes not worth it, if the cost is too high to your sense of self-worth or confidence or, you know, then maybe reevaluate the strategy.
when you say like, who I am, I think a lot of young people don't actually know who they are.
Yeah.
And a
lot of old people don't know who they are.
But a lot of comments ahead of us doing this conversation, you had thousands of comments, and a lot of people ask the simple question of, what do I do if I don't know who I really am then?
Yeah, talk to your friends. You can go through a simple little exercise, which is find a friend who loves you and you love them. Somebody who at 3 o'clock in the morning you would take their call and you know that they would take yours. Do not do this with family. Do not do this with a girlfriend, boyfriend, or spouse. Those relationships are too close. Do this with a best friend and ask them the simple question, why are we friends? And they're going to look at you like you're crazy because you're asking them to put into words a feeling, which is very hard for human beings to do. So they're going to probably say, I don't know, why are you asking me this? And then you stop asking why and you start asking what, because it elicits rational answers. And you say, come on, what specifically is it about me that I know that you would be there for me no matter what? And they'll hem and haw, and you can't help them. You can't let anybody else help them. You have to let them sort of struggle through the process. And they'll start describing you. I don't know. You're smart. You're funny. I trust you. And you have to play devil's advocate. Great. That's the definition of a friend. You have that with lots of people. What specifically is it about me that I know you would be there for me no matter what? And again, they're going to go through this a few rounds, and eventually they'll give up. Eventually they'll give up and say, look, I don't know. All I know is, and this is what my friend said to me, all I know is, Simon, I don't even have to talk to you. I can just sit in a room and I feel inspired by you. And I got goosebumps because I had an emotional reaction to something that they said about the value I have in their lives. And if you do this with multiple friends, they will say similar, if not the exact same thing, because the thing you give to the world, your why, is the value you have in other people's lives. So the way that you find out your why, the way you find out your value, is by asking the people who value you. To go on the pursuit by yourself and go sit on a mountain, you don't have objectivity of yourself. But other people who love you and care about you with all your warts and everything, they can tell you why they want you in their life. And that is the why, that is your value, that is your why. It's the space you fill in their lives, which is why we're not friends with everyone.
What if you don't like it? What if you don't like what you hear back?
It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist because if you have an emotional reaction to what they say, if you get goosebumps or you well up, what they're telling you is who you are. Now, you may not always be acting as you should and acting as who you are. You may not be living your why. But deep down inside, when you are at your natural best, this is how you're showing up. And so it's not a question whether you like it or not. It is who you are. And what you'll find is it's quite beautiful and empowering because you get to discover the reason people love you.
Does who you are change?
No. Our why is fully formed by our mid to late teens.
So this is really interesting because I speak to many people about relationships as well.
Yeah.
And they say, you always want to wait until you're 40 until you get married because you don't know who you are when you're young. And when you're 40, you know who you are and you've got a lot more grounding in that personality. And I'm like, well, one, if you don't change, actually, that's irrelevant. And two, I kind of think we're always changing. Just because you hit 40, it doesn't mean you're not going to change personality, whatever that is. Yeah. How do you feel about that statement of wait until you're 40 till you get married because then you know who you are?
I don't think I think any kind of dogma is unhealthy. People telling us when we should and shouldn't do something based on their experience, not ours. Guidance is helpful. Advice is helpful, but do or don'ts. I don't know about that. But the fact of the matter is our why, the core of who you are, is done. It's set. The question is, are you living to that core? Are you in balance? Are you saying and doing the things you actually believe? Are you operating based on your values? When I talk about why, how, and what, it's all three pieces that matter. It's not just knowing your why. It's also how do you operate and what are you doing? That those three pieces need to be completely in balance. And so, of course, you're in constant improvement. And of course, you're learning how to, be more self-aware and make other people feel heard and be a better communicator and learn how to deal with conflict better and learn how to have difficult conversations and learn how to not be reactive and have a temper and all of these things. Of course, you should be in constant improvement. There's no such thing as a perfect person. But the fundamental of who you are at the core of your personality, the core of your identity, the core of the value you give to the world is completely fixed. Which is why when you start, let's say, becoming more, you make money the end all be all, your old friends who knew you back when will say, it's like, I don't even know who you are anymore. You've changed. It's like I don't know who you are anymore. It's because you become distracted by something else other than being your best version of yourself. So, no, your why is fixed. Of course, you sometimes can ignore it and you can live outside of balance of it. So it's not about finding out who you are. It's really going back to basics is really what it is. But yeah, I mean, I hope you're in a state of constant improvement and being a better version of you all the time.